Well, welcome back to Life of Dave. So we've got all this cleaned, filled, sanded and refilled any little voids that were left. So now we're going to mix up some resin and we're going to get that glassed in. So just spread a nice coat of resin over everything that's going to be glassed. I'm going to go past where I think the glass is going to come to, because that will be sanded when we do the next bit. Just making sure it's all covered. Not worried about the runs. We're going to come down there with a bit more in a moment. We're coming right up to this window. That's the plan anyway, if I've got my cloth the right length. We can trim that off afterwards. The worst bit of all, upside down. Yeah, hate that. When I had to do the underside of the deck, oh, I wasn't looking forward to that, and I was right. That was a bit of a mare. I managed it alright, but I didn't like doing it. I like the glass work, but upside down, horrid. Resin dripping, glass sagging on you, trying to get it to stick up and it just keeps falling down. Nightmare. Absolute horrid. So it's just a case of making sure you've got it all covered, so it's all sticky with resin. You're not trying to float the boat in it, you know. You don't want that much on there that it's running down continually, but you want enough on there that it's covered. When you put your glass on, it should soak the resin up and through the glass. You know, not just use up what's there and go dry. You don't want a dry layer. Again, you don't want it resin rich, so there is a line between the two. And you'll sort of find that as you go, really. So I'm not going any further than this with the resin, so I'm just going to paint down to there. This will be sanded again on the next layer, so when I do that bottom section. Right. There for a second. We're going to need some more resin. Missed a bit there, did I? I did. So it should all be shiny now. That's what you're looking for. Don't forget to shake your resin before you use it. When it's been sitting around, it needs a shake. So now I've spread that out, that will take a lot longer to go off than it will sitting in the cup. I don't don't want this to go off too fast. I don't need it to set up immediately. I just need it to set up. I'm not going to see this again until next week, so I'll mix this up. Hopefully just about get this all on, done and rolled out, and then I'm going to have to go. So next time I see this, it'll all be set up solid. And I'll have to sand again, because I'm not going to have time to paint it and do anything else before I go now. I'm running out of time, so never mind. I was hoping that I might be able to get a bit more done, but it's not going to happen. I just want to get this done and glassed, at least that way I'm moving forward. Right, now the awkward bit. Ha ha. I've got to get this to stick on there without falling off every 2 seconds. Right, I'm only using this on the top section where I want that extra strength. I'm not going to go all the way down with it. Stay. Longer than I thought it was. Snip a bit off of that actually. I've gone a little bit further than I thought. The length. Ah, I could put a bit more resin up there. Hell, stick it all up. It's there now, isn't it? There we go. That's it. Stay. Alright. I'm going to work that resin through that I put up there. That's going to come through that cloth. I'm not going to add too much more unless I need it. Alright, start in the middle and walking the air outwards to the edges, hopefully the plan. That bit, don't want that bit. That's the only trouble with sticky resin and little bits of glass. Get off. Yeah. I'll say the resin that I put up there is predominantly what I'm using at the moment. So at the moment I'm just pushing the glass up, stippling the resin through the glass. So all that resin that I've painted up there, coated originally, I've stuck the glass onto that. And I'm just pushing the glass into that resin that was on the boat initially, what I put on there. And that's drawing that resin through the glass to incorporate it. So as I push that in, the resin comes through and I can work the air out to the ends and out the top. I'll get this stuck down under there before I stick that down, otherwise it won't pull the cloth if it needs any extra under here. Just work that along from the middle out to the edges. Looks pretty good actually. I'm not seeing any air trapped in it, so a little bit there. Pretty happy there. Along there. Making sure there's no air traps that I can't see. Not missing anything on there. Where it's wrapping around that corner. Working it along, making sure I'm pushing any air up into this bit where I can see it, and then we can walk it along up and out. To be honest, that's gone on perfectly. I'm not seeing any air there, so right, moving on then before its resin starts drying. So working down to the next section. So what it did there is as I pushed that bit, it pulled that bit down. That's what I want to be careful of. Bits falling off. A little bit more resin just on there. As I'm pushing this in, it's pulling this seam down up there, so be careful to make sure it all stays in place. What we do is we'll get this on and we'll roll it out. The next layer up, yeah, as I'm pushing that, it's pulling that, so if I can get this stuck down on the bottom, then I can roll the air out the top as we go anyway. So you can see all those voids that are ringed coming through the glass there. Look. So where each of them is, I can now see that there's no air there. So the filling of those voids has worked as it should. Right, so now that bit of glass is completely stuck down, I've just got to work my way around it quickly, making sure that it's not pulled any bits off. That's the excess running down, spread that out, I'll get my next bit of glass over that. Work my way along here, just making sure it's all stuck to the boat as it should be. Alright, that looks pretty good. A little fold into this corner, but that's not the end of the world. To be honest, that's pretty darn flat. I don't even know if it needs rolling. I'll just go over it carefully just to make sure that I'm pretty much just checking it really, just to make sure there's no air that I can't see. Like I say, with the light coming through the window and whatnot, sometimes you miss a bit, but so far it's looking pretty darn good. I'm pleased with that. I was getting a bit worried to start with. Every time I touched the bottom bit, it pulled it off the top. Put a little bit of gentle work in and it's done what it should do. A little bit there, look. That's where there's a little rough area on the glass. Whew. Get it out. Yeah, the original boat was made so rough. There's so many uneven spots on it. It's untrue, really. Lovely boat, Shetlands, but damn, the build quality. The finish inside. Pretty pleased with that. On the top, like I say, I wouldn't want to do that top, I'm not worried about it, but it's going to be trimmed off along that window edge there, so. Right, woohoo! One bit. Now this next layer, we'll use quite a bit of resin. I might even cut this in two actually. I think this is going to be too much to lay up in one go. Yeah, you know what, I'm going to tear that down the middle before I start this as well, because I can see that giving me a bit of grief otherwise. Right, let's do that quickly now. So I was originally planning to pop that in there and lay that all in one go up to the top, but I think that's going to be an absolute nightmare. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do myself a small favour here. I'm going to tear that down the middle. It'll just make my life a whole lot easier. I mean, I've got two schools of thought. Is one that if I leave it whole, by the time I've got the bottom fixed down and roll it up to the top, it should help it hold in place. But if it don't, it's all going to be falling down around the ear holes. And I'm not worried if this is neatly exactly after it. I just want to get it up before this resin starts going off. Right, that's got to go in there. Just got to come down to this bottom section here, up to the corner. Right, there we go, that's in place. Try and pull some of that resin through. Get this to stick in place, it don't move. Yes, obviously that's really dry. I'll sort that out in a second. I just want it in place so it don't move. There we go, that's stuck down. Whew. Get this on. I need a lot more resin for this cloth. This really soaks it up. That first layer hardly uses anything. You put a layer on and it really soaks through quickly. Real good stuff, like quite easy to lay on. This is a really heavy grade mat, so effectively I can do this in one layer. You know, this is a one layer type of chopped strand matting or CSM. I could have probably just done with one of these over the whole lot, but I wanted to put a bit more extra strength around there. And that stuff's really thin, quite light, so I thought I'd give it a little extra using that. That was the plan. Now I've got to work fast because all this resin will start kicking off very soon. I'll get as much of this out of here as possible. I'll map them in the bottom of there. Squeeze as much of that old resin that I've just come to the end of out as possible. Ideally have another tub set up ready to go, but it won't take me a second to mix that up. I'm not worried about that too much. Just make sure you've got enough resin for the job that you're doing. You don't want to get halfway through and run out of resin. Oh, that's not the end of the world, you just have to let it set up and then sand it all next time. Got a nice even mix, you can see the colours change throughout, there's no pink bits left, you know, it's all the same colour, it's all uniform colour throughout the resin once you've mixed it. That way you know that it's thoroughly mixed through and you can start putting it on. I sometimes tend to keep it a little bit drier at the bottom, so I'm going to roll it out and I'm going to roll that excess resin out and work it down, and that's all going to end up down here. Obviously you need to get enough in there that you can see the CSN, the glues in it, the PVA is melting. It's working it out. If you leave it too long it will start setting up, the resin will start kicking off and it won't draw it through the cloth and then you're scuppered. So you do need to wet it enough to start with. You know, like this is too dry obviously. You do need to pull it through, but I tend not to put too much on the bottom. Like I say, I'm going to roll that out, excess resin is going to come running down and I can use that to wet the bottom. Depends how much time you've got. Sometimes you just got to let it run off, you know. This stuff down at the top here before that all starts going. So that first lot is kicking off, so that'll stop it all from moving on me. I was hoping if I could just get this done, I might be able to mix up some paste and get me locker stuck in. I've been bugging to get that done, but I don't think I'm going to have time. I'll be rushing it and I'll end up with the alarm going off on me, telling me I've got to leave, and I'll be halfway through doing it and mucking it up. So I think I'll just get this done. I'll be happy if I get this glass, you know. That'll do me, I'll be pleased with that then. Right. So this roller's a lot wider, which is great for doing larger areas, but if I've got a high spot here and a high spot there, a low spot in the middle, the roller doesn't touch it in the middle. So that's why I use my smaller one as well. So this is great to initially work your way around it. So I want to make sure there's no air in that bit there and work it up there, and then work that bit, next bit down, pulling out that excess resin. You probably can't see it on the camera, but that excess resin's running down now. I'll go over quickly with this one. I think I need to get the smaller one because this isn't touching some of it. It's a bit dry there. You can see that white spot. So I can roll this resin down to the top, but it's going to start going off before I can get to do that if I'm not careful. That's not doing much now. Straight in the acetone. I don't want that setting at all on these. Much better fit this one. Just it's a lot smaller, so it's more work, if you know what I mean. I'm just using the roller to just pull some of that resin through. Little dry patch there on the glass. Just work it backwards and forwards over it as it'll just pull the resin up through it, and then use it as you should be to roll the air out. You don't want to be racing over it in all directions. You'll just pull the cloth about and introduce air. Pretty pleased with how that's gone so far. So I've got to be, you want to go fairly slowly, but I've got to work fast because this is going off. I haven't got all day, so but that is looking really good. Pleased so far. So the next bit's the tricky bit, getting the next lot to stick up there. That will be the challenge. That is the bit that I'm not looking forward to. Upside down under there, around all them corners. Yeah, that will be challenging. Especially, like me, I'm not a professional. If you're new to fiberglassing, working upside down is not the best thing to start with. You know, you need to get a bit of practice in on some flatter surfaces. This ain't too bad. This works quite well. Yeah. It's pretty much almost vertical, but not quite vertical in places, not in others. Yeah, it's got some challenging contours, that's for sure. But take your time, work your way through it, and you'll be fine. There, let's pull that down. Crap in it there, get rid of that. Got a lump. Bit of muck's falling in it. Dirty old boat. That low spot there, I'm going to roll out that way. And then work it down that way. Beautiful! Well pleased with that. That looks good so far. Really pleased. Right. In the acetone with that, give that a rinse off for a second. I'm going to need a little bit more resin for this top bit. Everything starts getting a bit sticky at this stage. Stand up a second. They stand straight on my legs. Let the blood flow back to my feet because they're starting to go numb. Make sure you thoroughly mix all around the sides. And your resin should look the uniform, even colour. Right, that's good, done and ready to go. I've just got to stop this video here and start it again because this one's way too long and I need to trim that down. So I'll be back in a sec. Bye for now.